The day was April 29th, 2011. And I was working in Google's Chicago office in North Michigan Avenue. And I had my general exam and I was doing my PhD part-time at Louisiana State University. So I'll give you a brief chronology of my history. So I'm a mechanical engineer and a mathematician by profession. I did my BS, MS, and PhD in mechanical engineering with a minor in discrete mathematics. Following that, I worked in Google in Chicago, in Parker Hannifin in Chicago, and then as a consultant with the NASA Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. And after that, I worked with Louisiana State University as a professor of practice. Now I'm associated with Atria's new university as a professor in the area of mobility and unmanned aerial vehicles. From the Langley Space Center, that is the CIA headquarters in Fairfax County in Virginia, I get a call from my doctoral advisor, Dr. Itzhak Brown, and he said, Prashant, I have sent you a file through a secure server. Process the file and send it to me. Data dump. It was a huge data dump, and I go to the Fred C. Frey Computing Center in LSU. That's an arrangement between NASA and LSU, and it's a massive computing facility. And I go to the Fred C. Frey Computing Facility. So these images were captured in high shutter speed cameras that can capture 64 images in 1 minute. I sharpened the image using a mathematical optimization technique. I'll tell you about the technique too. And the image, of course, is sharpened. Well, it's chilling when I say it even now. So I get an image in front of my computer, and the image is being downloaded step by step by step. So the first thing I see is strands of hair which are gray, black and white. And the image continues to download, and I see a forehead that is fully wrinkled. The image continues to download, and I see a sharp nose and a brawny cheek, a muscular brawny cheek. And the image continues to download. The full face downloads. There is no beard in this area. There's just a goatee like this, a sharp goatee, a long goatee. And this is happening on the 29th of April at 1 o'clock in the morning. I look at the image keenly. I couldn't identify the image because the image was a little blurry. I tried to sharpen the image more. I look at the image keenly. I still can't recognize it. So I try to hide, but it looks familiar. I try to hide this face where the beard is. And I see Bin Laden in front of me, Osama Bin Laden. I've confirmed the identity of Bin Laden and sent it to Langley, and he is making jokes on the 30th of April because they didn't want to give anything away. They wanted to maintain the secrecy and have the tactical advantage. Once the dinner was over, you see Obama making a phone call. That is the phone call to the Harvey Point base in North Carolina, giving the go signal to take down Bin Laden. This was voted as one of the most iconic photographs of the decade between 2000 and 2010. That's Obama giving, okay, go ahead, take down Bin Laden. A counterterrorism team called the Navy SEAL 16. The Navy SEAL 16 is a fascinating team. It's composed of Green Berets, Silver Star winners, and Flight Cross winners. That's equivalent to the highest military gallantry award in India. I don't know what is that. I'll tell you what the plus one is. The 28 members are divided into two teams of 12 each, of 14 each, I'm sorry. 12 and 12 were the Navy SEAL 6, and there were two fighter pilots in each of the aircrafts, two helicopters. Those were the Black Hawk Night Stalker. I'll talk about that too. The Black Hawk Night Stalker. That was one of the greatest inventions by mankind, particularly mechanical engineers, electrical control engineers, mathematicians, everything. That gives a tactical advantage of performing counterterrorism operations in the night. That's one of the greatest inventions of the engineers and mathematicians. Land in a place called Abbottabad. That's a military town in Pakistan. And the exact location that they land in is a place called the Kakul Military Academy. That's the exact meridional latitude and longitudinal dimensions where they land. So the two helicopters come on top of the Kakul Military Academy and zero in on a compound. The compound that I'm talking about is exactly opposite the Kakul Military Academy. And the town Abbottabad that I'm talking about is a garrison town. A garrison town is where, you know, retired military generals settle down. And it's a modest town with modest houses. But there is one house that stands apart with 10 feet compound walls and 4 feet of electric fencing. Okay, right here. This is the compound that I was talking about on display. This was distinctive. It just, you know, like, it just stands out. It just accouters. You know, it's resplendent and, you know, standing out from all the other houses. That the plan was for one of the helicopters to land in at that place, and the other helicopter would hover around and provide air support. That was the plan. So the first helicopter, the two helicopters are codenamed Chalk 1 and Chalk 2. So the first helicopter, Chalk 1, hovers around the compound, and because the compound walls are so high, the wind creates a reverberation and the helicopter starts to careen, sway side from side without control, and it crash lands on the compound wall. You can actually see the picture of the helicopter right there. That is the photograph of the helicopter crash landing. The tail section of the helicopter, the Black Hawk Night Stalker Stealth, is sheared off and falls outside the compound wall, and the body of the helicopter falls inside the compound. But none of the fighters are injured. They get down, and the second helicopter that I was talking about, instead of hovering up, lands outside the compound. Now, the fighters, the Navy SEAL 16 gets down, and you see this exact moment when it crashes. That's when all these operations, this operation was live relayed using Internet of Things. And there was an iconic photograph that was shot in the Situation Room in Oval Office, in White House's Oval Office, right there. You see this photograph on the bottom left. You can see Joe Biden, Vice President, President Obama leaning forward, the Brigadier General Brad Webb looking at the laptop, HP laptop, and relaying everything on the big screen. You have the NSA, the National Security Advisor, Thomas Donilon. You have the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton. You have James Clapper, and you have Robert Bates. And there are a couple other people that I don't know myself. He would you can specifically see an Ethernet cable in that. So every information was passed to a technology that was 25 years old, so that there was no middleman who had a whiff of any of this information. Now, the fighters, the Navy SEAL 16 gets down, and you see this exact moment when it crashes. That's when all these operations, this operation was live relayed using Internet of Things. And there was an iconic photograph that was shot in the Situation Room in Oval Office, in White House's Oval Office, right there. You see this photograph on the bottom left. You can see Joe Biden, Vice President, President Obama leaning forward, the Brigadier General Brad Webb looking at the laptop, HP laptop, and relaying everything on the big screen. You have the NSA, the National Security Advisor, Thomas Donilon. You have the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton. You have James Clapper, and you have Robert Bates. And there are a couple other people that I don't know myself. And you see Hillary Clinton going like this, right? Oh my God. That was the moment when the helicopter crash landed. I've actually, put a zoomed image of Hillary Clinton. And she's holding a binder that says, "No forward." This binder is not accessible to any foreigners. Foreign is for foreigners. This was again voted as one of the most iconic photographs. This was the moment when the helicopter crash landed on the compound wall. And they thought they were going to abort the mission, but no, they continued. They went up. The first person they encounter is Bin Laden's third wife on the first floor of the compound. And his two kids, her two kids. They immediately make sure she doesn't wear any suicide vests, separate, cordon her off. They go to the first floor. They encounter Bin Laden's eldest son, Khalid. He fires at them. They fire back. He's killed in action. Again, EKIA, enemy killed in action. They go up to the second floor. They find Bin Laden with his sixth wife. He's there. They ask him to surrender. Of course, he wasn't going to surrender. So there is an encounter, and he's killed. All the operation is done in 20 minutes. The objective of this webinar is to find, or is to have a discourse on how technology was at the forefront during this operation. So the first thing was, it did not take CIA and FBI, Central Intelligence Agency, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation 10 years to take down Bin Laden. No, it took them 10 years to confirm the identity of Bin Laden. That is what took them the longest amount of time. And finally, you see the compound, right? They finally zeroed in on the compound using geospatial study. They converged in on the latitudinal and longitudinal data from the data sciences and zeroed in on this compound. And CIA officials, disguised as Pakistanis, were watching this compound for 100 days. There were only 3 people who went inside and came out of this compound. One was a person who gave dairy products, milk, cheese. The other one was a person who gave meat. And the third one was a physician, a doctor, and there is a comment here, Bin Laden used to take long walks in the evenings on the lawn that was displayed. And they captured high resolution images. And what they wanted was a vertical frontal image, which was very difficult. I mean, Bin Laden was never going to say cheese and, take a picture, confirm the identity. He was never going to do that. So they had to take photographs in difficult angles. And that was one of the images that I showed, Eigenphase 0, the ghostly image. You had one image where only one part of, Bin Laden was available. You have one image where only the face, the eye was available. You had one image where it was fully covered in shade. And we had to put together all the images. And that was achieved using a technique called orthogonal diagonalization and singular value decomposition. So the first technology that was used to confirm the house that he was living in was data sciences. The second technique that was used was to confirm the identity or make sure it was indeed Bin Laden. And that was done using, can we move on to the next photo, next slide? Yes, right here. Yes. The next technological feature that was used was artificial intelligence and discrete mathematics, particularly a technique called orthogonal diagonalization and singular value decomposition. Now, this was the technique. Now, if you see the images in here, you will see that as we progress from eigenphase 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, the image gets sharper and sharper and sharper and sharper. Can you notice that? Eigenphase 0 has an image that is kind of a ghostly image. But eigenphase 3, you see a better image. And eigenphase 4 has a little more clarity. 5 and 7 are the best images. Can you all see that? Yes? This is indeed not the image of Bin Laden. I can't release the image of Bin Laden. This is the image of, can anybody see the image? Can anybody recognize the image? This is an image of a famous US politician. This is the image of George W. Bush. This is not Bin Laden's image. But this was exactly how Bin Laden's image was given to me, and this is how I sharpened it step by step by step using MATLAB and Python coding. The code was a 1,700 line code, which took me 8 hours to write, and it took 6 hours to run. So this was a compound that was built on a 1:1 scale at a place called Harvey Point in North Carolina. And they conducted reconnaissance, threat detection, and surveillance activities and combat activities and the ramifications of it in an urban zone, because Abbottabad, as I said, was an urbanized zone. And the SEAL-16 wanted to see what kind of ramifications will we have when we conduct a counter-terrorism operation in an urban zone. And they built a 1:1 compound and conducted a mock operation, and this was achieved using the Internet of Things. That was the third technique that was used in the capture of Bin Laden. And the fourth technique, the most important, is the discovery, the invention of the Black Hawk Night Stalker, the stealth helicopter. This was done in collaboration with a corporation called Sikorsky Incorporated, whose CEO is Igor Sikorsky. Now, if you see the image on the bottom right, there are two helicopters in there. One was a typical US Army helicopter, and the one below is the Black Hawk Night Stalker. You can see a difference in their tails. You see that the right image, you see that the top right image does not have any tail rotors, but you see that the bottom image has a tail rotor. This tail rotor denies radar signature for the enemy. You ideally want to conduct an operation where you have a tactical advantage. If you have a 1:1, advantage, there is nothing, special that you have. But this stealth helicopter denies radar signature, and the noise. A typical helicopter would make a noise that's easily recognizable, and this tail rotor makes a buzzing kind of a noise that's available too. That would not help you will not be able to find the exact location of the helicopter, because there's no radar signature, and the image is a baffled sound, so you won't be able to pinpoint the location of the helicopter. These were the two images, and the tail section, you see the tail section on the bottom image, that was the one that sheared off and fell outside the compound of Bin Laden. So this was the fourth technological front which was used in the capture of Bin Laden, which falls under the category of mobility. And the category, the helicopter was a modified version of the UH-60 Sikorsky stealth helicopter. These were the four different areas that were predominantly used during Operation Neptune Spear and the capture of Geronimo. In addition to that, there is avionics and different other fields of engineering. But these were the four technological fields that were massively used. And that concludes. And incidentally, all these four areas of study are available in Atria's new university. I mean, I did tailor this webinar, to point out all the four areas of study. Incidentally and serendipitously, this happens to be, a study in Atria's new university. Artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, data sciences, and mobility, which I really see are the future of how engineering would progress.